I don't know. I don't really like this one. Oh, well. All right.
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that.
Good evening, and this is the Tuesday night show. We still don't have a name.
Yep.
My name is Ultra David, and with me is James Chen.
How is everybody doing right now? Hope everyone out there is excited. Lots of news. I mean, normally we don't like to just straight up talk about news, but I almost kind of feel like we don't have a choice today.
Right, yeah. Usually we want to have some kind of gameplay discussions or something like that, but it's a big day.
Huge.
It's a huge day.
Huge.
It really is. And, kind of short shrift from some of the sources so far, including Capcom itself. But we'll get to that later. Of course, we're talking about the $500,000 that Capcom is going to be giving in prizes for tournaments that they're going to be, I guess, running in cooperation with somebody. I don't know. We'll find out.
I still love some of the comments that I've read, like Capcom. That means they're giving away 500,000 Mega Man posters.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Dollar posters each, but yeah, definitely
real.
we'll see. So
we'll talk about that in a bit, but we also today want to talk about Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yeah, we actually got a chance to preview that at Wednesday Night Fights last week. I hope everyone got to tune into that. It was actually a lot of fun. It was really cool. It was really cool to see the game and watching people actually trying to break that game down. So,
right. So this is a game that's been in development for a while, and you and I have had the occasional chance to go check it out, like at E3 and the Fight Club,
Evo,
and Evo,
yeah,
at CES and that kind of thing. So we've played it a few times.
Well, I actually avoided it. Like,
that's true.
The whole entire. I think the first time I played
bar
it
fights, right?
was at bar fights
yeah.
recently. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually avoided it at bar fights because that was just before 2012 was released. And they did have a version of 2012, and I really wanted to try that out instead. So
right.
Long story short, you and I have not been the biggest fans
of
Street Fighter Cross Tekken. We've been a little bit critical.
We've been pretty brutal.
Pretty brutal is a better way to put it.
In our honesty, yeah. There's a reason why everyone calls me Gems Chen now.
Yeah, for real, yeah. And I don't know, I guess we'll talk a little bit about why we were critical of it.
Yeah.
A few reasons. It felt to me like they were just slapping everything that they could think of against the wall in terms of game mechanics, and it didn't seem like they had any real idea of what they were doing or what they wanted to do or how things were going to work out. And I kind of expected that would result in crappiness.
Yeah,
that was a big thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, the strange thing, too, is that I felt like as the game kept going, where they were talking about the chain combos and they was talking about the gems and stuff, you even saw that Capcom started almost kind of talking about Street Fighter Cross Tekken as a beginner's type of game, like a more user-friendly kind of game geared towards, helping people learn fighting games. And you actually had the funniest reaction to that because they had more systems in this game than any other fighting game maybe in history.
It seems like the most complicated fighting game of all time, and they're marketing it to who? Like,
yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So I kind of don't believe that it was originally made.
There's no chance.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So.
And now it seems like it might not be after all. It might be a good game, but so another reason that we didn't like it was the idea of gems.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we both like the general idea of having the customizability of a character, just not the way that they were carrying it out.
Yeah, the presentation of the gems I feel like are not as strong. For example, I just don't even feel like what we were seeing at Wednesday Night Fights, you couldn't even tell what gems your opponent had based on the versus screen or anything like that. So it's really hard to figure out your strategy. Multiple gems, if you look on the website, they have the same name.
Right.
And so just with different activation conditions. So it's
just
hard.
Different numbers.
Yeah, so if you see someone with a certain gem, you don't even know if it's going to get activated if you throw them or if you hit them or what. So it's hard to actually base a strategy around that.
Yeah, you're right. Another thing was that it seemed like the chain system was going to dominate early on. If you recall, it just seemed like footsie fighter and nothing else, just like footsying around with chain normals buffered into big old launch combos and stuff.
Right.
But then we saw it at Wednesday Night Fights.
Yeah, and strangely enough, I mean, as I don't know, maybe because we were expecting, Capcom Fighting Jam Part 2
The
or
Gars.
something. maybe we were expecting something so horrible, but honestly, what we actually saw of it, I saw a few, very clutch kind of things. Once Oliver started doing low forward, cancel into the. So I mean, in case you guys don't know, there's this weird system they inputted where you could charge up a special move, and it's almost like the new focus in the game because you can start charging it and dash canceling it. If you let it charge to level 2, you get a free EX. If you let it charge to level 3, then it comes out as a super.
Right.
It's just kind of weird. But then when we were starting to see Oliver do that low forward, cancel into hold, fireball, cancel into dash to apply pressure, I don't know. I saw that, and I don't know. I just kind of got excited about that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That happened early in the night, and I was like blown away by it. I don't really know why I was so blown away by it, but it was cool.
I think it was largely just because we both felt kind of dumb that we never thought that you would be able to do that.
That was huge. We felt like complete asses afterward, no doubt. But I guess another reason for it was the skepticism that we had for the game, and then we saw this really cool looking mechanic that we felt like could be applied in really interesting ways. And then after that, the game continued to surprise us as we were watching. Yeah. We surprisingly liked scramble mode, which I expected to never, literally, to not even ever hover over the menu on the menu screen.
Right.
Ever, let alone select that choice. Okay, but then it looked like it might be interesting. So,
yeah. I mean, I think the cool thing about it is, combine that with the tag mode where two people actually use the, where it's 2v2, but you actually only control one character at a time. I don't know. I feel like there's enough modes in the game right now that even if 1v1 doesn't quite work out, I feel like maybe one of the other modes will actually pan out to be a really cool tournament kind of, option. Because, when we were watching people play the team, I don't know, there was just something funny about watching them have to, combine their powers and watching Oliver do nothing. Watching Claky D do all the work, for better or for worse.
Yeah. Yeah, and for scramble mode, you could see as the players were playing it that they were developing strategies. The first people who stepped up didn't really know what to do, except for Oliver and Claky. And then as the sets went on, I forget who it was. Was it Richard and Jace the Ace who were their opponents when Richard and Jace tried to pick the other, like a counter pick or something with like Ken or somebody like that, and they realized it wouldn't work, so they went to the Ryu and Rolento
same team.
Themselves. It was a whole little thing, so it looked a lot more interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm still wondering just how chaotic it's gonna be, and if there's a lot of potential for like infinite block strings or infinite combos. But
it's possible.
At the same time, maybe that's not actually that bad of a thing. I mean, because then it kind of adds this, like, it's your fault for standing next to each other so you can get happy birthday. I don't know. It just sounds like there might be a lot of interesting strategies develop. Ones that we don't know. Like, none of us know. Like, when we jump into a new game, it's like, let's try this option select. Yeah. Let's try this frame trap. But, we could play a game with completely brand new strategies that nobody has thought of yet. So
that's true. But just talking about the 1v1 game, it seemed like it was significantly different than the last time that I played it, at least. A lot of things were nerfed. And in nerfing them, I felt like the game got better, which is kind of unusual. But a lot of things. So Pandora now is just a tiny damage boost, and you get infinite meter.
I don't know. It doesn't even seem useful to me.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I feel like Pandora is pretty much going to be almost superfluous. Like, I just don't even see it being a factor at all.
Yeah, and people are already doing such big damaging combos. I mean, dude, Wednesday night people were figuring out like 30-40% damage combos like immediately. So obviously the final combos will be a lot higher than that, like 50% life. So I kind of expect that if you get hit once, I'll have like 40 to 60% life. And if I get hit twice, I'm dead, I guess. So like I don't really know when I'm going to have 25% or less life.
And the worst thing about it too is like
which is the condition for Pandora.
Oh, right. And one of the things that also kind of makes it odd for me is that most of the high damage that you get in the game is from launch combos and tagging. And if you activate Pandora, you don't get to do that anymore.
Right.
So you've not only, you've given yourself a damage boost, but I feel like that'll just make you as powerful as you were when you had your teammate. So I don't know. I don't see it as any sort of use at all.
Yeah, like gems only, maybe like some crazy Pandora gem. I don't know, but whatever.
That's true.
And then the cross assault mode, when you have both of your mans on screen at the same time. Now the computer is controlling your other dude.
Right, that's right. They changed that,
yeah,
right?
Because you used to be able to control it
kind of like
a lot and then limitedly. And
I think it was like Marvel vs. Capcom 1, where one input would work for both characters.
Yeah, it was like that at first. And then after that, it was CPU controlled, but you could switch back and forth.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, that was how it was at CES.
Okay.
And then now it's just, I don't know. I mean, like unless there's some like different use for it that we're not thinking about right now, which is possible. I don't really know what that's going to be for.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just feels like a lot of modes that were kind of slapped in there,
and so then there's Alpha Counter, which has a much harder execution requirement than before. It used to just be like toward and whatever, but
right.
Now you have to like time it on like certain frame or whatever.
Seth was saying there's almost like a parry timing to the Alpha Counter, so.
Right? And it's no longer a launcher, so it doesn't blow people up anymore. It's just a special move. And I think some characters can do something afterward, but like not universally.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, I think it would be really powerful. But I'm curious to see how that's gonna go.
Right. And then chains. It seems like the damage reduction after a chain is gigantic.
Yeah.
It used to be that it wasn't like that, and you could also cancel out of the normals that were in chains.
Right.
Builds. Now you can't do that either. So they've also weakened the chain mechanic.
Right. It's like, I think what we saw was that you could do short forward and then cancel into an EX move. So you have to use a meter to cancel there, but now you can't just go short forward drill, short forward fireball, short forward, whatever, like you could in earlier builds, like you could, for example, in Alpha 1, you know. So now you actually, once you start going into the chain, it's almost like unless you use a meter, you have to finish off into the whole launcher thing. So
And so I feel like the result of having nerfed all of these systems is that the game can like open up. Like I feel like those systems were like they were too much. They required you to use them too much. Like they were too big a part of the game. And now I feel like the game can be more organic and interesting and
more
strategic,
based on fundamentals.
Right, more
maybe.
fundamentals.
Yeah,
yes, exactly. So and I feel like we saw that at Wednesday Night Fights. Obviously a lot of what we saw was just people figuring out the game and like derping around, but I felt like it was noticeable that you could play it and have a good time and a good strategic time even with it.
Right. And if that all fails, then go to scramble mode.
Right, exactly, yeah. Exactly. We had heard, I would say that for 6 months I had heard nothing but bad reviews of the game from, because we know like that there are some secret people playing, like we don't get to do it, but we've heard that there are, and you get like secret reviews or whatever, and they were just negative. And
except for Mike Ross.
Well, but then I feel like over the last month, they just flipped.
Yeah.
Like I started hearing good things.
Yeah.
And I feel like they were playing either this build at Wednesday night or something else that was similar that you could like open up.
Right. I've actually heard people who have managed to play the game basically say, I can't wait to stop playing Street Fighter 4 so I can play this game, which just blows my mind. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does, especially considering where we were before. So I heard, I troll the forums. I troll the forums a lot. And I saw a couple of guys being like, it seems like all the positive reviews started happening after Capcom announces like money's involved. Like, which I thought was really funny because
right.
I mean, obviously that's not it. Like, we just felt like it was a good game on Wednesday. At least I did. I don't want to speak for you, but I felt like it was just so much of a better game than I expected. And maybe I was at 2 and now I'm at 60 rather than being at like 30 to 90 or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it was good.
I saw potential. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all
that's
I'll say. That's all I'll say is that it didn't look like it was gonna. I mean, no joke. It does not look like it was going to be the garbage fest that I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Agreed. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess obviously it's going to come out pretty soon, and I guess we'll get to see more of it at Cross Assault, like when people people play it.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things about the game that we don't know enough about. So maybe it felt like more basic because we didn't know how to use any of the new stuff. So who knows? It could very well turn out to be broken still, but.
Yeah. I mean, it's a new game and it's got all sorts of new stuff. So who knows? But speaking of Cross Assault, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the show that starts tomorrow.
Oh, God, that is starting tomorrow.
Fast.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. All right, folks, we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to some shows that I still don't know what to call it.
Tuesday thing.
Yeah, I don't know, whatever.
Exactly.
Anyway, so we're going to be talking about Cross Assault now, which is, of course, the little game show or something. Reality show, I guess.
Reality show, yeah.
Any idea how it's going to go?
I have no idea. All I know is that they're going to be streaming from, I think, 10 to 8 or something like that every day for the next 7 days.
It's on Team Spooky, right? It's
actually,
twitch.tv/Team Spooky.
And also, I think it's going to be on IGN website. I think it's going to be a hub for it. I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of remember hearing that. So I think you could probably go to both, frankly, Team Spooky or IGN front page and actually watch that. And so, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how that's going to go because obviously a lot of us are going to be working while it's going on and such, and I don't think many of us are going to be able to watch for 12 hours or 14 hours in a day or however many hours. So
not going to be able to do that, but I'm looking forward to it anyway. And I don't know if we want to go over the super basics of it because I feel like people probably know, but it's going to be just five players who were Street Fighter players, 5 players who were Tekken players. They battle it out in some way. We still don't really know.
Right.
So what I'm looking forward to is just the game. I'm just looking forward to people breaking down the game. I don't care about the antics and whatever shenanigans are going to happen. A lot of the people are my friends, and I hope that they do well. But the personalities, in any reality show, I just don't care. I'm just in it for the game, and it's cool because some of the people that they picked are really, really good at breaking down games fast. I'm looking forward to seeing how Nerd Josh is just going to be all right, I've played every fighting game ever. I'm going to understand how to look into this a little bit and see what stuff happens.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to the person.
Are you? Okay, fine. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. To be honest with you, the ones that I'm looking forward to most are actually going to be Vi and Eris.
Oh yeah.
Because we know Eris. This guy talks so much trash to everybody, and so I even heard they showed up at the airport and he saw Vi and was like, "I don't associate with people like you," right from the get go, right away.
Okay.
So it's. To me, I just want to see Vi and Eris yell at each other, and knowing that they can't get eliminated and they're going to be there the whole time. Yeah. And I was talking to Eris a little bit about it too. He's not even necessarily going to treat his own team well.
Oh, yeah.
He's totally going to just be as big of a jerk to them as possible. So I don't know. I think it's going to be hilarious. I think it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
So.
I hope it will be because the point of it is not so much. I feel to cater to us. To people who are going to buy the game for sure anyway, but maybe to newer people who will be interested in the personalities. So.
Yeah, to me, honest, I'm fascinated with watching different personalities clash. It's I don't know, there's something about it. I hate reality shows, but for some reason,
it sounds like you're pretty into it.
The concept of it, I don't know, is just kind of, it's fascinating to me because I just think the world is just full of so many different kinds of people that the possible interactions that can occur fascinate me, and so I don't know. I feel like they got a really interesting show. So
I could watch some Bethany Ever After thing, or It's a Brad world, or one of those.
See, I don't even know what those are.
Dude, my roommate watches too much Bravo. So I know Bravo.
Gotcha.
But I've had friends on reality shows before. Obviously we both do. Justin Wong.
Was right. WCG.
The only reason that I watched that was just to support him, and once it was off, whatever. But this one is gonna have all of my friends, and so all people who I know, I should say.
Right.
So what I'm really interested is not rooting for one person or another. It's just gonna be the game. I'm hoping that they will be streaming the game and people playing the game and that kind of stuff. Because I wanna be able to see the game. I don't want to see the game break, but see the game evolve at least.
Right.
And if we can't get the game at the same time as these people, at least it's going to be on screen when they're playing it. So.
I hate to say this, but you'll probably be disappointed. You
real?
know, no, I don't know anything, but that's just the way reality shows work, right?
Yeah, okay.
They always like I remember watching WCG Ultimate Gamer. You know, and I was hoping to see a lot more, you know, of them playing the games, but you know, I felt like there was definitely more concentration on you know, the people and the drama between
like playing
them.
in a straitjacket, or it was like some BS,
yeah, like stuff like that. But even just like, you know, that one guy who was like swooning over Faye and stuff like that, you know, just that kind of stuff. And
that dude.
Obviously, there's a big difference between the two. However, is that one is going to be edited so they can make it seem however they want, and one is going to be streamed live, and that is going to filter out, I think, a lot of the random drama stuff.
Right.
So.
I mean, that's good. So, my cousin was on America's Next Top Model.
Real? What?
Yeah, it's true.
Wait, I think you mentioned that before. Yeah,
right.
That's right. That's right.
And she's this nice person. Comes from like nice people,
Uh-huh.
and they cut her to look. She's not wealthy. Like they cut her to look like this like spoiled rich kid asshole. Like that was like the editing, right? So I'm happy that this will be live. There's not going to be some stupid BS like that. But the other reason that I feel like it's not the same is that this is going to be. I feel like it's going to be like a pretty legit fighting game community thing. Like I feel like it's going to be pretty strongly FGC. So
right.
I didn't think it was going to be like that until we saw the first press release, and Eris is like making racist jokes in the press release. The official Capcom community press release has like him calling Alex Valle Mexican, and that's like a negative. Like, you know, this is Eris, but it's also
right.
like the fighting game community. So that makes me think that it's not going to be just the kind of BS personalities,
right.
And it'll have games.
And it's streamed by Spooky.
Right.
Maximilian is involved in it.
Right.
You know,
I
all
Play
these
Winner.
guys who are all, I Play Winner. They're all involved in this. So, you know, hopefully they can keep it focused on the games. And, you know, I'm actually curious because, you know, obviously for something like WCG, they did physical contests, you know. I'm just wondering, are they going to, like, I would love it if they busted out the old Capcom games. And that was like the elimination challenges, like make people play Section Z, you know, on the Nintendo.
Wow.
Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
That'd be
awesome.
Nuts. That would be nuts.
You know, or make them play Ghost and any of the Ghost and Goblin games, because everyone will be eliminated. Like everyone will lose in like 2 seconds.
I like Josh.
Guaranteed.
I like Josh.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I expect it, and I guess I hope it to be more game focused and more like I hope it'll be like more with with an eye to tournaments and to tournament viewers and players. Like, of course, I expect it to have lots of personality stuff because a lot of people are interested in that. But I really hope we'll be able to see the game.
Right, and to be honest with you, like, it would just be cool if they could try to spend as much time talking about the tournament scene, especially because they have a reason to now.
Financial incentive, yes, they do.
Yes,
right.
and because obviously Capcom has dropped a big. No, they didn't even drop a bomb on it. They like just boop. They didn't even like sneak it into it.
It was like a little eye drop. It's like
yeah. They just walked up and said, "Oh, here's a bomb, by the way. Okay,
Yeah,
see you later."
yeah, exactly.
And they just walked away. So, oh man.
Yeah. But just to wrap up on Cross Assault, I'm really like if they show the game being played well and being explored and talk about the tournament scene, then and I guess the personalities too, just to bring people in, then I feel like it'll be successful. But I really, from my perspective, I really want those first two things,
Right.
because I want people to see that these games can be played and broken down in really interesting ways, and I hope that the coaches will be there to, you know, explain things in interesting ways, and I feel like that'll bring people in.
Right. Oh, yeah, and by the way, Dan CT just mentioned this, and I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that the PS Vita version's getting 12 extra characters, like, right away, and, I mean, I think they said that they will eventually make their way to the console, but apparently the Vita version is going to get a bunch of characters first.
But that's not until fall.
Is that what the case
I
is?
thought I read that the Vita version wasn't coming out until fall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I might be wrong about that, but that's...
Okay.
Yeah, right. So we see cool confirmation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not
cool,
until fall.
Cool.
So, yeah, I mean, presumably those characters will be out for DLC after that. Like, I don't know, but that it would be weird if they created these characters and just left it on the Vita.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a shame because I think some of the characters like Elena and Sakura, and I don't know, I'm sad they're not in there right away.
I wanted Jack. He was one of the characters that I was looking for. When I used to play Tekken, he was the character I played, so I was looking forward to that.
So, yeah, I guess
later,
we'll
I guess.
wait a little bit later for that. So,
yeah. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of a break. We'll be back to talk about the huge bombshell that Capcom just left in their hands. Hey, here we go.
Like in the middle, we're going to have 12 brand new characters for the Vita. Oh, and by the way.
Also, we're going to have $500,000 in tournament prizes. I don't know if that matters.
But yeah, so we'll talk about that right when we come back. So stick around, guys.
Hey,
there we go.
Okay.
I'll figure this technology out sooner or later.
Right.
So
welcome back to Tuesday Something with my name, Ultra David, and
James Chen. How's everyone going out there?
Cool. Thanks for sticking around. So we really wanted to mention the biggest news of the day, of course, which is that Capcom is going to be supporting tournaments with $500,000 in prizes over this year.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know a lot of details. We don't know if they're going to try to support existing tournaments or if they're going to be running their own tournaments. And, definitely, whenever we talk on the show, we want to talk a little more about strategy and stuff like that. But with this kind of news, it's like we have to talk about it. I don't feel like we have any way to avoid it. So,
right. I mean, I know that they talked about it on Wake Up SRK a little bit before us. And I assume that cross counter that cross counter will have it on after us, but we got to talk about this and maybe from a little bit of a different point of view.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like one of the main reasons why we need to talk about it is because we're kind of two of the loudest people when it comes to how we feel about fighting game community versus the I don't want to call them esports, but about the other side of competitive gaming, I guess you could call it. So
yeah, I mean, at least in the fighting game community, we've kind of split it into fighting game community and like everybody else, which we've labeled as esports, even if they're not cool with it. But like we're just like that. I think it's kind of funny that like they tried to impose their esports narrative on us, and now we're like, we're gonna impose our own ideas on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, whatever. So yeah, it's going to change things to an extent, and I guess that the first part of this is the $25,000 that'll be handed out for cross assault. I would assume.
Right.
I would assume that would factor into the $500K. We don't know what else is going to happen after that, but I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens to tournaments, to established tournaments.
Right. I mean, the interesting thing to me about this is, Capcom. I've always said that the fighting game community is going to have a hard time making it big until Capcom gets involved. And that's why, to me, this news is so big. It's not about how much money they're giving out. It's not about, prize money or anything like that. To me, the reason why I'm excited about this, the reason why I feel like that this is a huge step is that this is, I mean, obviously Capcom has showed up to events. They've, obviously previewed stuff. But this is, to me, is the first time that Capcom has truly said, all right, look, we know the tournament scene is out there, and we are going to do something about it. And to me, that is exciting. That's what makes me just like that's the bomb-dropping explosion part in my head. Yeah,
and I think that's huge for a couple of reasons. One is that it shows a change in mindset at Capcom. And I, we've had this problem for a long time of not having a mindset at Capcom that lends itself well to tournaments. To supporting tournaments and even to like designing stuff for tournaments. But I feel like this is really a sign that they're interested and will be supporting the scene. Now it's important to say that this is just for this year. because this is the 25th anniversary of Street Fighter 1. And whether they'll be supporting the scene afterward with the same kind of funding next year, I don't know, but I would assume that this is like a trial balloon sort of thing. Like, if it works out like gangbusters, then they'll be back next year. And if it doesn't, they'll be like, oh, that was the 25th anniversary. Like,
right. It's actually kind of tricky because, in a way, it gives Capcom an out.
Yeah.
They can try it, and they can say, well, we did it for the 25th anniversary, and then they go away. You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's totally...
It's very
totally
possible. But here's the thing, right? Here's the tricky part to me, is that if it works out for them, Capcom stands the most to benefit from it. So, you know, a lot of people have been saying to me, like, or a lot of people in general have been saying, like, oh, you guys are talking about, oh, you know, big money doesn't mean anything, and now you guys are all excited, oh, blah, you know. To me, it's not the money, it's the source of where this money is coming from. Like, to me, obviously, with Riot sponsoring League of Legends tournaments, they have a vested interest for doing that. League of Legends is like, oh, here's $1 million in prize money because we want people to play our game. We want to be big. We want to be super popular. And obviously there's a reason for Riot to do it. Now, having some other group, like an independent group, saying, oh, we're going to come and sponsor fighting game tournaments, you know, at any given time, they're like, well, this business proposal's not working out. We're going to leave. Or somebody else can make us more money. That's the thing to me. Like, obviously, even with this, StarCraft is going to still, like, blow Capcom fighting games out of the water. And so, you know, people out there who are here for a business, they're going to say, well, you know what? We could do fighting games, but we could make more money if we go to Dota 2, StarCraft, League of Legends, or any of these other games. So the fact that Capcom is themselves is providing this money, you know, it's to me, it's a world of difference.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest thing. Like, so it's not that I was opposed to us joining some professional, it's not that I was opposed to Capcom giving their games to some professional tournament series. What I was opposed to was that happening without a real understanding on the part of the tournament series of what they were getting into, and without the fighting game scene being at a point where it could sustain itself even if something went bad. And I feel like the first one of those problems is not really an issue because Capcom is getting directly involved, and I don't know that it's going to be Capcom tournaments, like Capcom brand tournaments. Like, in fact, Capcom Europe had a little spiel where they talked about IGN at the end, just saying that IGN is going to be partnering with working on Cross Assault, and IGN also, of course, runs IPL, IGN Pro League. Right. So, just maybe the IPL is going to be what will run the actual tournaments. But the point is that the funding is coming from, in a huge part, from a source that will not go away and that understands the tournament scene, because there are people now in Capcom who started in on tournaments. You know, I mean, it's not just Seth. Like, there are other people in Capcom who have been in the tournament scene, and they understand what it's about, and they can help guide this new $500,000 support in like real ways that like really make sense for the scene. Right. Like,
for example, Derek Neal, who worked on Third Strike Online, he was a top 8 Evo finisher in BlazBlue, I think, one year. You know, so I mean, there's a lot of people in that company that do understand it. So
right, and Cross Assault is another obvious example of that, of them designing this. Man, 5 years ago, this would have been like some random ass hosts. Right, it would have just been like some actress and actor that they pulled off the street to like host it, and then they would have gotten some random dudes. They didn't know, like, who knows? Like, maybe they would have picked Justin Wong too because they had heard his name. Like,
right. The fact that they're actually at a point where they know not to pick Justin Wong, to make because they think he'd be too good.
Right. I mean, Justin's salty at that, but everybody else I feel like is cool with that. Right. But yeah, it shows that they understand the fighting game community, and they're going to be the ones supporting the scene hugely with $500,000. I think that's the perfect situation.
Yeah. And another thing too, that if another group picked up Capcom games and Capcom just said, okay, you can start using our games, I just don't feel like they have the kind of investment in it. So let's just say it starts to kind of do well. Like, the one thing that I love about what Blizzard has done with StarCraft, for example, is they have tried helping the scene. They've come up with those camera controls that, for the commentators and stuff like that.
And replay mode is awesome in that.
Right. And so I
Really
just feel like if Capcom gets involved and they start trying to run these tournaments and it does succeed, that might actually make them consider creating tournament-specific builds of the game with replays and stuff like that, stats and all sorts of cool things,
That'd be so sick.
Yeah.
And maybe with SF Cross Tekken having that tournament mode coming out later, which we don't really know what's in there.
That's right.
But if that is like a really well-designed tournament thing, then maybe that really is a sign that not just in the PR and marketing and community support are they understanding what's going on, but also in game design. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're jumping a lot of guns here right now.
Yeah.
We're thinking very far ahead, and a lot of this is extremely, extremely positive thinking.
Right, and we should probably. This shouldn't be all positive thinking.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
We should definitely consider what the negatives could be.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, there's easily a chance that this will just be this year.
Yeah,
and then they'll just go away, and then we're just back to where we were before.
Right.
But
I feel like the bigger potential negative, and I know that some tournament organizers are a little bit worried about this, is that Capcom, in giving out who knows how much money, say it's $50,000 to win a tournament.
Right.
I don't know. But let's just say $50,000. That is an order of magnitude greater than any tournament can offer except for EVO. And even EVO is like just a little bit more than that.
Right.
It's not much more. So, people are a little worried that this could not be great for some tournaments. But that said, I really don't feel like most of the majors have to worry. Like, I would be very surprised if things like EVO and SB and CEO and NCR.
I mean, obviously, it is one of the concerns because we've talked about MLG for the longest of time. How if they gave up a lot of money, then a lot of players might get used to the prize money and then they can't go back, et cetera, et cetera. That's still very much a possibility in this situation. We could get a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I just won $15,000 at a Street Fighter tournament," and then in 2013 it all goes away, and then it's just like, well, screw this, I don't want to go back to winning $500 at a tournament. So
and it's not even about winning, it's about making it like a career. Like, we know some of the players are trying to do that now. People have literally quit their jobs over just the last 6 months and are trying to get by on things like streaming and winning tournaments and getting sponsored and stuff like that. So if they get used to this lifestyle where they win enough to just live on, and then all that money goes away the next year, I don't really know what they would do. I mean, would they be like, well, I've gotten used to a certain quality of life, I'm going to have to stop just playing the video.
Right,
maybe I'll have to get an actual job to live up to whatever I was making in the previous year. Or will they be like, okay, well, we've been playing these games for 10 to 15 years or 5, however long people have been playing. And we're cool with it going back to just community stuff, because after all, it's not like the community's doing poorly. We're doing better now than at any point.
Right.
And we have bigger pools than at any point, more entrants than at any point. So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I'm also, one of the things that, crosses my mind a lot is, obviously, I hope Capcom does not schedule any of these tournaments at the same time as any other tournaments that we, that...
I feel like that'll be hard to do. I would be super surprised if they scheduled anything against Road to Evo events. Obviously, they're not going to schedule against Evo, and I'd be really surprised if they scheduled against any of like the big majors, like I was saying,
right.
the established ones. But
right.
They're going to have to find a weekend, and nowadays.
Not scheduling over a Road to Evo event is like, how are you going to do that?
I don't really know.
Because I think there's like one span of like 7 weeks of Road to Evo events or something crazy like that.
It's not going to be easy. Maybe what they'll do is just wait until like Evo off season, like in like August or something. I don't know.
Right.
I really have no idea. But I would, again, I'd be really surprised given the support that they've given in Cross Assault and what this $500,000 says about their level of interest in the tournament scene and tournament mode for cross Tekken, I really don't think that they would do anything to like really interrupt the tournament scene.
And I really do hope that they do take the time to lend out some help to existing tournaments. I mean, obviously there's final round, seasons beatings. There are entities out there that a final round is going to be final round 15 just in a couple of weekends. 15 years. I mean, that obviously means they are organized, trustworthy, and a quality tournament. There's obviously nothing wrong with associating yourself with something like final round, so
and maybe that's what this will largely be. I mean, again, we don't know what this is going to look like practically. Like I said before, they're going to be working with IGN on Cross Assault, so maybe that means IPL, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just means that they're going to be supporting established tournaments run by established community tournament directors. That could be it.
Right.
Really don't know.
Yeah, and also, definitely, since I kind of mentioned already, huge shout-outs to Shin Blanca, Larry Scott Dixon for 15 years of final rounds. I mean, that's coming up in a couple of weeks. You're going to be there for sure, right? Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if I can take time off of work. Yeah, I know. But we'll see how that goes. So hopefully I can make it. So I mean, if anything, I've never been to final round, so I really, really want to just go there and experience final round. I mean, I'll go there. I want to enter the tournaments and get bodied and whatnot, but it'll be a lot of fun. So I mean, it'll be super exciting. So I'm definitely gonna try my best to make it.
Cool. Well, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back. We're gonna talk a little bit more about this whole 500K thing, and we will see you on the other side. Dude, I totally forgot that we still had the title screen that says strategy analysis esports. Like,
oh no!
Yo, esports.
So awesome. Yeah, that's right. We in there now.
V-sports, dude.
Yeah,
Video game sports.
Exactly.
That's right. Again, that's not going to be the final thing, but shout out to Stumblebee for making it for us last time.
Right.
We didn't have anything else. Leave me alone.
We don't even know what the name of our damn show is going to be. So
for real.
I mean, we've had a bunch of suggestions, like, what did they say? Like for us, it was Tuesday.
That's my favorite right now is for me, it was Tuesday. I feel like that's pretty sick.
Yeah. I was like, someone mentioned like 2-hit Tuesdays or something like that. I don't know. So...
I don't know. We'll figure that out. In the meantime, we still want to be talking about the announcement from Capcom today. And so we talked about the money that they're going to be giving out, $500,000 in prizes over the year, but we didn't really talk about which games they're going to have.
Right. And the interesting thing is they didn't either. So a lot of people are thinking, of course they're going to run for Street Fighter Cross Tekken because, they want to sell that game. But Seth tweeted a very interesting tweet in which he said, remember, this is the 25th anniversary of Street Fighter. So that hints that maybe they'll throw tournaments for other games.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely hints at that. I don't know what that could mean. Like, people were theorizing that means that they're going to have tournaments for all the Street Fighter games, like Street Fighter 4 series, Street Fighter 3 series, Alphas, Street Fighter 2s, maybe even Street Fighter 1, which of course is the anniversary of.
Right. And tell me how sick this would be. Like, what if we did throw a hyper fighting tournament and we flew out Tomo Ohira.
Oh, you're making me.
Tomo Ohira, get Mike Watson, Jeff Schaefer, find all those old school players, obviously a lot of people haven't heard of a lot of these players, on tweets, shout outs to Glenn Cravens of Get Your Tournament, he was talking about Hall of Fame, and I mentioned names like Gerald Abraham, L.A. Akira, who a lot of people haven't heard of before. I would love to get Jason Nelson out to these things, Graham Wolf, Jason Cole, and just all. We could even go as far back as like seeking out guys like Roger Chung and Tony Tsui and all these people who. So exactly. Like nobody knows who these guys are. And when World Warrior first started getting tournaments at World's Finest Comics, there were 4 gatekeepers that were always spread into 4 different brackets. Tomo was one of them. Tony Tsui was the other one. Roger Chung was another one, and I forgot who the last one was. But like they were the 4 gods basically that you.
Did they all use Guile?
No, actually, they did not.
Just one random question. I don't know. I don't know that we should really get on that. Just
yeah, back then it probably felt like they should have.
Yeah, right.
Because he was easily the best character. So,
if it's Street Fighter 1, then Josh the Fun Doc, pretty much just write him that check. Just Josh the Fun, like just write him that check. But if it's not, then that would be awesome, because you're right. It would be really cool for people to see not just the games that led to where we are now, and that some of us still play a lot. But it would be also cool for the people who played those games, who no longer really get the acclaim that they should probably be due.
Right.
It'd be really awesome for them to get out. And dude, if there was an ST tournament that was like $50,000, I would I don't know. Something real sexual would happen with me. That's all I can say. Like, I don't know that I would survive.
And they should really go all out with this. Do Street Fighter 2010 on the Nintendo.
My God, dude. Like speed runs or something?
Street Fighter.
Again, Josh the Fun Talk.
Street Fighter EX.
Yeah,
like,
EX
Street
would be
Fighter
sick.
EX.
I don't know if they have the rights, but that would be sick.
Street Fighter Pinball. And, a bit of trivia. They actually had a tournament in San Francisco very early on when Street Fighter Pinball came out. No one had ever played it before. And the winner of that tournament was actually Tomo, and he would not lose. Like, they couldn't get him off the pinball. He was literally looping the game. It was ridiculous. Like, you can hear Jeff Schaefer talk about this in like some of his videos. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So.
That's pretty nuts. So it'll be really interesting to see which games they go with. I kind of feel like it would be better for them to go with older games if they were going to be supporting community events. Like, I feel like it'd be weird if they showed up at IPL and had Hyper Fighting or Alpha 2 or Alpha 3 or even Third Strike to some extent, because it's, Third Strike might be better known, I guess, nowadays. I don't really know if that's true, actually. But in either case, it'd be kind of weird to have this, 12 to 15, 18-year-old game show up at, like, a major professional league. I guess I feel like it'd be more suited to a community event.
Right. And, I don't know. I just feel like if it's going to be proper history, like if we're really celebrating the 25th anniversary, we really need to, look at the original Street Fighter II World Warrior. We need to look at Hyper Fighting and just, there's just so much history, it would just be so fun to just sit here and talk about history over and over again.
Well, we're going to do that at some point. Both of us definitely want to have a show that's mostly historical and just like ramble on about crap that we know.
Yeah, and I would love to get a lot of these old school guys on here and actually talk about it, So it would be so much fun to just talk about stuff that a lot of people don't know about. I remember like one of my favorite examples was one year when we showed Bang the Machine at EVO, Smooth Viper, who's very much into the MVC2 scene, didn't know how competitive it was back then. And when he watched Bang the Machine, he literally walked up to me and was like, yo, it was really like that back then, and it's been like that since Street Fighter 2. Like, it's crazy how much history there is in this game. So it would just be so much fun to watch all of that.
So cool. Maybe this is the start of fighting games being like a real player in competitive gaming, like worldwide. I don't want to undersell where we are right now, because again, I feel like we're doing really well already. But to have this extra money and official support from the game developer would be just an incredible step, I think.
And you also, but at the same time, we don't want to oversell it, because
true.
It's definitely still very much a risk kind of a situation to get our hopes up, to put all our eggs in one basket kind of thing.
I definitely agree. In this announcement, nobody should look at this and be like, okay, we're set, time to just roll ahead with whatever. You still got to be doing whatever it was that you were doing before, whether you're a player or a tournament organizer or a commentator or whatever. Yeah, still got to work.
Yep. And actually, before we finish off today, obviously I hope everyone sticks around to watch Cross Counter, which is coming up on the stream.tv right up after this. There's a couple of things actually I want to remember. There's something else I remembered I wanted to mention, because we were talking about Super Turbo. Recently, Bob Painter and a bunch of guys, including Damn Die, Muffin Man, a whole bunch of stalwart, what's the word? Stalwart, okay. Super Turbo fans out there, they've announced this crazy Super Turbo tournament that will culminate at Evo this year.
Yeah.
You can actually check that out on Bob Painter's site. So there, it's going to be a cool event. They're
Which
trying
is
to get
Kuropi.com. How do you? It's
Yeah.
like 2 P's.
Kuroppi. Obviously, I don't know the word stalwart, so I don't know if you want me
think
spelling
you're right. I
Kuropi.
think it's Kuroppi.com.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information there on that tournament. They're going to get a lot of people invited over and stuff, and it's going to be a really cool event. It's going to be a really cool Super Turbo event. Check that out. And that kind of leads into the other thing that we wanted to talk about. Obviously, this is a purely community-driven effort here. So shout outs to everybody involved in that and getting that underway and getting it at Evo and such like that. But, community is obviously a really big thing. And I know when we were doing Wednesday Night Fights, we'd get a lot of tweets from, there's like a Colorado group. I always give them the shout out, the Strike First Colorado group. There was, groups from North Bend, Indiana, and all these different things. And obviously Brazil, they have portalversus.br, so they always talk about a lot of their community stuff. What we want to try to do here is promote these communities as much as possible. And I almost kind of want to dedicate the last 10 minutes, of every show on Tuesday here talking about all the different communities that actually exist out there. So, a lot of times, like when I talked about the Indiana group on at Wednesday Night Fights, I got a bunch of people saying like, that's like around the corner for me. I didn't even know this existed, Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So what I'm actually hoping to do is get people to, email us at ultrachentv@gmail.com. Tell us about your community, and I would like to talk about these communities on the stream. I actually want to talk about them, promote these different communities, help these communities grow, and help try to spread the awareness that these communities out there exist.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I'm really looking forward to that too. I've also been sent messages about places all over the world.
Yeah,
there's a scene in Guam. And they have Thursday night fights.
That's right. Yeah.
And Thursday night fights happens when I get home from Wednesday night fights. I'm not even kidding. Like it was 3 or 4 in the morning for us, and it was nighttime there. And,
right.
And their stream, twitch.tv/Shaydo SHAY gaming.
Right.
They had like 20 people on, but the quality of play was pretty solid, and it was cool for me, like while I was just getting ready for bed at crazy hours, to watch that. So.
Right, and Arms House, obviously,
Yes.
by Worst Geef Ever, and they obviously stream from London all the time, and they've got great players
Big
there.
stream.
Ryan Hart and all those people we saw at Canada Cup, they're streaming there all the time. So there's obviously a lot of really awesome communities out there. And, even if it's a small community that you're trying to grow, a lot of people like to ask us the question, how do I help grow the community? Write to us, again, ultrachentv@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And, we'll try to pick a community every week to talk about and promote as much as possible so everyone can learn about all the different places you can play.
I mean, we've definitely been those people who have been in smaller scenes. Well, at least I have been. You've lived in LA basically forever,
Yeah.
but I've been there, and I know how it is to have a scene that is relatively small, and you have to like work at getting the scene bigger and bigger, and it really helps if somebody who has an audience can plug it. So now that we're in a position that we can plug stuff, I'm stoked to be able to like directly give back to the community and do this.
Yep, and of course, Cross Counter is starting right now. I'm sure we're missing Steve's monologue right now, so
which is the best part of the show.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So definitely turn over to the stream.tv guys. Check out Cross Counter. I'm sure they're going to have a lot to say themselves about this Capcom announcement as well.
So follow us at UltraChen TV on Twitter. You can check us out on Facebook and YouTube at Facebook or YouTube /UltraChen TV. My Twitter account is at UltraDavid.
And I'm at jchensor.
Cool. All right, folks. Well, we'll see you next Monday. By the way, sorry about not being here yesterday. Just had a little bit of a family commitment that needed to be attended to.
Yeah.
That won't happen again for the at least foreseeably. Hopefully it won't. So we'll be back Monday at 8 p.m. with First Attack and at 9 p.m. with Level 3 Focus.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Go check out Cross Counter.